So I'm a clinical psychologist. I've been in practice in Austin for a little over 20 years, and I treat individuals and couples. And I use a mixture of psychodynamic psychotherapy, attachment theory, and interpersonal neurobiology. Well, when I'm working with clients and trying to help them understand their own nervous system and how it operates and how it's impacted by other nervous systems, probably the first place that I start is with the window of tolerance. That seems to be just a really easy construct that most people can understand in terms of an ideal level of arousal and how if arousal gets too high, it can become dysregulating to the brain and we lose capacities. And if it gets too low, same thing, that our brain drops into a state where we don't have all of our full faculties working for us. And so that's probably the first place that I start, is explaining the window of tolerance. And then the second piece of interpersonal neurobiology that I find really helpful to explain to clients is the function of the vagus nerve, and especially Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory and the idea that we have a whole segment of the vagus nerve that is designed for interpersonal interaction. And this explains why we are so deeply impacted by how this other person is responding to us. That there are many structures in the brain that are designed to pick up and react to that information. And so just really helping people appreciate the biological and evolutionary underpinnings of the interpersonal influence is often really helpful to clients, so that they understand that it's not just all about them, but it's also about them in relation to the other person, whether that's me or their partner or child or whomever they're trying to get a better relationship with. I love interpersonal neurobiology because it's added an additional lens through which I can see the client in the present moment and what is happening in the room with me, as well as consider that factor when clients are recounting to me events that have happened to them that they're having difficulty understanding. In training, I was taught to consider the history, the current, and the therapist relationship, and those were sort of the three rings that I was always supposed to be holding in my mind. And I feel like interpersonal neurobiology is this fourth sphere that I can also be holding in mind to help me understand a current interaction that's happening in the therapy room, or to help me understand an interaction that a client is reporting that's happened outside the therapy room. So it's given me another lens to look at, and also it's been really helpful in helping clients to better understand how to manage their physiology in the moment, doing education about how the nervous system works. And clients really love that because it helps them make sense of what's going on and also feel more empowered to make a direct impact on their interactions throughout the day. In my work with couples, especially, interpersonal neurobiology is so helpful because it helps to avoid laying blame that one person is basically the problem, because when we teach this idea of mutually reciprocal influence of the two nervous systems, it helps the couple to understand that really it's this dynamic moment by moment interplay between the two partners, and that all of this is happening at a preconscious level, so that no one's actually trying to trigger the other person, and yet our nervous systems are always in a state of reading and responding to the other person. So with couples, I found it to be really a helpful construct to depersonalize and sort of remove blame, but also help empower each person in the dyad to understand that if they can both regulate their own physiology better and also understand how to regulate their partner's physiology better, they can make a really profound change right there in the moment. So I found it to be especially helpful in working with couples. I've really loved being a part of Austin in Connection. I like most people, have sort of phased in and out depending on what's been going on in my own life. Kids got me busy for a while, so I've just in the last few years been able to re-engage. But one of the recent events that I really enjoyed was having David Elliott come and present on his construct of the pillars of attachment and the specific protocol that he had developed to work on healing adult attachment wounds, which the preponderance of clients, I think that most of us see as therapists, have had some attachment difficulties. And so I really enjoyed seeing him present that material, and I got to actually go up on stage and do an experiential with him as a volunteer, and so that was pretty neat to be able to experience the technique that I had read about in the book and that he was talking about in the lecture.